So, lads, today we have to talk about something in the WNBA CBA negotiations, and I mean this when I say this. I don't think these players I don't know if some of these players are taking this seriously. Some of the stuff players that are kind of actively, I'm not gonna say actively involved, because at the end of the day, you've got only a certain amount of people that are involved. But I think every player has some involvement. Every player has some involvement anyway in it. But at the end of the day, if you're looking at the real players that are involved, it's Fee, Neka, Stewie, Bree Turner, Elizabeth Williams, Alicia Clark, Kelsey Plum. They're the real players that are involved. And in fairness, it doesn't really matter too much what players that aren't any of them say, but it's still not a great look on the league in general. It's not a great look on the league. So Natasha Cloud posted this, and this might be the dumbest thing ever. First of all, we want team housing. Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Absolutely. I would assume for hardship players, they have to allow hardship players. Just like, again, for G League players, for two-way players, if you're calling somebody up, you have to apply housing for them. But also, the team housing is between 1,000 and 3,000 per month for 5 months of the year per player. So if they're going to increase your salaries by 200, let's say you're a minimum contract player, instead of getting 60 grand, if they're going to increase your salary by 160 grand, but then you have to spend, depending on what city you're in, it could be 1,500 for 5 months, 6 grand less. I mean, the NBA, none of these top tier pro basketball leagues pay for your accommodation. Realistically, none of them do. And it's not going to be in the CBA, which means, but the reality is teams still might put players up. Teams are still going to, if teams are allowed, if it's a choice for a team to put a player up, I think with the lack of a cost, every single team would if a player wanted that. They would, but that would be probably considered extra benefits. But this is the worst comment. I actually get not wanting team housing. I do. Because especially if you're someone in New York, that is 15k, basically. And at 15k, but I would assume also you're paying tax on the team housing. Is that not a BIK? If you were in Ireland and your team paid team housing, that would be considered salary, whatever the value of that housing would be. But I don't know. I don't know how it works in America. But you can see this comment. This makes no sense for younger players, so the players get cut and stuck in leases instead of teams to bring in replacement. Instead of the teams to bring in replacement players, nor for the players in bigger markets. Yeah, I actually don't disagree with that comment. It's just this last thing. Let alone talking about player safety and safe areas. WNBA commish. We want a girl's girl. What the fuck does Kathy Engelbert have to do with this? And what the fuck does that have to do with anything? We need a girl's girl. What the hell does that do? Kathy Engelbert's not the one making the CBA. What the hell does that have to do with anything? Genuinely, what does that have to do with anything? I don't even dislike Natasha Cloud, but it's all these buzzwords they're using. They use random buzzwords. Oh, we want a girls commissioner. Why? Genuinely, what you should actually want as commissioner is, the commissioner is the middleman. The commissioner represents the owners, but it's the middleman that talks to the players. If the commissioner is always on the player's side, they're going to be fired because they, ironically, are employed by the league, by the owners. They're not employed by the players. I get it. Every single player hates Kathy. Every single fan hates Kathy. I don't even disagree with that. Fair enough. What some of the stuff crap Kathy's been saying. Absolutely understandable why everybody hates Kathy. Absolutely understandable. But this is kind of crazy. She makes a genuine argument. And by the way, she makes an argument. I think when it comes to team housing, if it's at the stage where, I always say this, there's going to be, the players getting the salary they want. I still think the players are going to get paid more. I think the players are going to get paid more. I think the 1 million max salary, it's going to be more than that. That would be my opinion. And I also think that 5 million salary cap might go to 6-7 million. I think that is something that is probably going to happen in the next 2 months. I think the money's going to go up to maybe 1.2, 1.3 for a max, for a super max. Maybe 1.1 as a super max, or 1.2 as a super max, 1 as a max but the salary cap goes higher, so the average salary goes up. That would be my guess. That would be my guess. But at the end of the day, this last line of tagging the commissioner, we want the girls go, what the fuck does that have to do with anything? I mean this. The commissioner could be a green alien from the planet Dagobah who speaks strangely, being like, CBA CBA accept you will. And it would still make absolutely no difference to what the owners want. To what the owners want to accomplish. Like, you could replace Kathy Engelbert with Tash Cloud herself, and it's not going to get the team housing. It's not going to mean the team gets team housing. There's going to have to be some sort of negotiation. And if it's a non-negotiable, okay, make it a non-negotiable in CBA talks. Going on social media being like, oh, we want a girls' girl. What the fuck does that have to do with anything? Nothing. It has nothing to do with anything. And this league is not taken seriously for a reason. Certainly has an opinion on team housing. I actually don't even care that much about Natasha Cloud's comments about the team housing. I actually probably kind of agree with them. I do think that the problem is that the players obviously have to be housed or get a certain amount of money. Teams will house players, whatever way teams house players. But again, I don't know how it works in America, but is that not a BIK if they put you in somewhere nice? But like, why does that last comment have to be a thing? Like, it's just kind of ridiculous. It's kind of ridiculous that there's always these buzzwords and all this crap. But at the end of the day, this is a sports league. This is a business. You have used the word girls girl in a CBA negotiation. And I don't know this, but by the looks of things, you've used the word girls girl in a way of saying that we want a commissioner that will get us every single thing we want, even though that's not the commissioner's job. It's your job as a union to get as much as you want. The commissioner is there to represent the owners for the players. Kathy Engelbert is really shit at her job. She's a terrible commissioner. She's terrible. Like, she needs to go, but that makes no difference. Like, and the fact is, people are like, oh, it's an Instagram comment. You don't think she would say something like that if she was in negotiations? I would be shocked if she didn't. I'd be shocked. Like, and again, a competent commissioner, or competent commissioners and competent ownership and competent players, they're looking out for the future of the league and they'll negotiate all of that. But like, it does sound like from the players what they want is they want as much money as they can for the next 10 years, and they don't give a fuck if the league fails. Because they're all going to play in these other leagues, they're all going to do these other things. And that's the thing, whereas like, I saw in a Rachel Demita video yesterday, she made a statement and she was like, okay, yeah, like, it should be one of those things where you're sitting down with players, you're offering them $1 million, being like, if you care about the future of this league, you will be okay to play in this longer time frame and not play in these outside leagues, because by not playing in these outside leagues, the league's going to grow more, which means you play more than 5 months of the year here, and we're going to pay you more money. And the fact is, I genuinely think that there is no amount of money that they could offer these players that will get them to not play in Project B. I don't think they're going to offer them as much money as Project B, which is why in this CBA, I don't think they're going to do anything about Project B. I think for now, it's like they'll be happy out if they just get rid of teams playing in Europe in EuroLeague, because I don't think Unrivaled and Project B are that much of a threat to the WNBA, because players won't take them that seriously. Whereas if you don't take playing in EuroLeague or Eurocup seriously, you're just going to get fired. Like, you kind of have to. Like, those fans really care about who wins and who loses these games. But at the end of the day, with these WNBA players, you've got, I don't even know what what some of the points they're trying to argue are. Like, I actually agree with the housing thing, especially for younger players, and there has to be an asterisk there where it's like, okay, any player, they must apply. It must be team housing, even $220K for 5 months. You should be able to get 5 months somewhere. But at the end of the day, maybe it's not. It's hard to get a 5-month lease. But it should be a case where for teams that if you're on a contract, if you're on a minimum contract, you should be put up for the months of the WNBA season, or if you're on a hardship. That being said, like for people, it's only 15K total. So if you're saying, oh, but like what about other players? They'll just take a minimum instead. Like, the difference between taking a minimum and a little bit over minimum is going to be a lot more than the 15K. There might be some way of doing this, but again, a girl's girl as a commissioner is not going to do shit.